What if the secret to a more fulfilling career wasn't hidden in some dense business textbook, but maybe inside the rulebook for a board game? Today, we're going to rethink employee engagement, but through the really surprising and honestly powerful lens of game design. All right, let's get into it. I mean, that's a pretty unusual hobby, right? But this quote from Mark W. Kirby, it just nails what we're talking about today. It's not really about playing the games themselves. It's about the systems, the psychology, the elegant design behind them. It's basically a masterclass in how to make something engaging. And that leads us to the big question for this whole explainer. Seriously, what can the things that make a game fun, challenging, and just plain compelling teach us about how we build our jobs, our teams, and even our entire careers? Well, turns out the answer is a whole lot. To really get this, we've got to put on a different hat for a minute. We need to try and get inside the head of a game designer. They just have this unique way of looking at the world that is so incredibly useful when you start thinking about what actually motivates people. Okay, this is a big idea right here, heuristic thinking. The best game designers, they can take some massive, crazy idea, like, say, building a galactic empire or just trying to survive a zombie apocalypse, and they can boil it all down to a simple, intuitive set of rules that makes the whole thing instantly fun. They're masters at turning chaos into meaningful action. Now just imagine applying that skill to your company's mission. So how do they actually pull this off? Well, a lot of designers lean on this brilliant framework that breaks down what we call fun into 4 totally distinct categories. This is kind of the secret sauce, the core mechanic behind what makes a game something you just can't put down. First up, we've got diegetic intrinsic fun. Okay, let's break that down. Diegetic is just a fancy word for anything happening inside the world of the game. And intrinsic means the fun comes from the process itself. So this is that simple joy of just doing the thing, like haggling with a merchant or picking a lock or perfectly timing a sneak attack. It's all about the journey, right? Not the destination. Okay, now let's stick with that intrinsic idea. So we're still talking about the fun of the process, but this time we're going to step outside the game's story. That gives us non-diegetic intrinsic fun. This is the pure satisfaction you get from the game's systems. That feeling of building the absolute perfect deck of cards, or just the simple fun of rolling a handful of dice. You're enjoying the mechanics themselves, not the story. All right, back into the game world we go, so we're diegetic again. But this time, let's focus on the outcome, not the process. That makes it extrinsic. This is the thrill of finally taking down that super tough boss, or buying up all the properties on the board, or finishing a long quest and getting that awesome new sword. You've achieved something real, something tangible, inside the game's world. And finally, we put it all together. The fun comes from an outcome, so it's extrinsic, and it's happening outside the game's world, so it's non-diegetic. And this is the big one. This is that feeling of victory that happens in your living room, the bragging rights, the first place trophy, or just knowing you totally outsmarted your friends. It's the real-world win. And boom, here it is, the whole framework laid out. You've got 2 simple questions. Is the fun happening inside or outside the game story? And is the fun coming from the process of doing something or the outcome? Every single engaging thing you do in a game taps into at least one of these 4 boxes. Okay, you've got the game theory down. Now here comes the magic trick. This is the aha moment, where this all clicks into an incredibly powerful model for how we think about work. And you know what? The translation is shockingly simple. Diegetic, or in-game, that just becomes at work, the stuff you experience on the job. And non-diegetic, or the real world, that becomes outside work, how your job actually impacts your personal life. And there you have it, the 4-quadrant model for employee engagement. All of a sudden, it just makes perfect sense, right? Your at-work processes, that's your company culture and what you do every day. Your at-work outcomes, that's your promotions and project wins. Outside work processes become your personal growth and leveling up your skills. And outside work outcomes, that's your financial security and your reputation. You need all 4 to have a truly fulfilling job. So, we have this awesome model. Now what? How do we actually use it? Well, let's go through each of these quadrants and ask one simple question. This is a fantastic tool for managers, for sure, but it's also great for any of us just thinking about our own careers. Let's start in that top left box. The question to ask is this: do you actually enjoy the process of your job? Is there a sense of collaboration, creativity, or even fun in your daily tasks? This has nothing to do with the paycheck. This is all about whether the basic gameplay loop of your job feels satisfying. Now, let's hop down to the bottom left. This one is all about personal growth. Are you leveling up? Does your job challenge you in ways that help you build new skills and deepen your expertise? This is that deep satisfaction of mastery, of feeling yourself getting better and better at the game of your chosen profession. Okay, moving over to the top right. This is about the wins. When you knock a project out of the park or hit a huge goal, does it matter? Does anyone notice? Are those in-office achievements actually celebrated? Think of these as the boss battles of your job. A victory should feel like a victory. And that brings us to the final quadrant, the ultimate prize. Does your job give you the resources, the salary, the security, the reputation, to build the life you actually want outside the office? This is the big, real-world win that makes the whole game worth playing in the first place. So when you see it all laid out like this, you stop seeing work as just a list of tasks to get through. You start seeing it for what it is, a complex system of motivations, a game that can either feel like a total grind or a grand adventure. I absolutely love this quote because it says so much about resilience. Think about it. If the day-to-day process of your job is engaging and you feel a sense of purpose, if the gameplay is fun, you are so much more likely to bounce back from a loss or a failed project. But if the whole process is a miserable grind, even a huge win can end up feeling kind of hollow. So here's the big takeaway, the thing to really remember. A great workplace doesn't just happen by accident. Just like a great game, it's designed. It's a system that's intentionally built to tap into all four of these sources of fun, creating a place where people can actually feel a real sense of growth, achievement, and purpose. And that really leaves us with one last powerful question to think about. If you look at your own job through this lens, if you really analyze the processes, the outcomes, the outwork experience, and the real-world impact, could you maybe redesign it to be a game you actually want to play every single day?